Imagine standing 100,000 years ago on a dusty African plain, surrounded not by just one, but six different human species. Homo sapiens are just one tribe on this crowded stage. Now, fast forward to today, only sapiens endure. What mysterious force wiped the others off the map? And what secrets does our survival unlock about the future of humanity? Let's dive into the untold saga of us, from ancient hunters to empire builders, and find out what it truly means to be human. Around 70,000 years ago, something snapped in our brains. A tiny spark turned simple humans into storytellers, schemers, and creators. But what exactly flipped the switch, and how did that change everything? About 70,000 years ago, a small band of Homo sapiens sat around fires in East Africa, sharing tales about supernatural beings and tribal ancestors. These stories created invisible social glue, binding hundreds of individuals into one cohesive tribe. Unlike any other animal, humans bonded through shared fictions, from gods to nations, turning mere gatherings into cooperating communities. But what if this shared myth was the real weapon that let sapiens outcompete rivals? Think of the sapiens' brain as the ultimate gossip network. Unlike mere data processors, our minds excelled at tracking who did what, who could be trusted, and who could be manipulated. This constant social, background chatter created alliances, rivalries, and cooperation at scales no other species managed. Like a spider's web vibrating with every subtle move, our network of stories fostered complex social structures far beyond family groups. This mental firestorm meant we didn't just react to reality, we reshaped it. Imagination became a tool to build entire social worlds, from imagined gods to future trade deals. By taming imagination, sapiens turned myths into laws, tribes into empires. Suddenly, the world was no longer fixed by nature, but shaped by collective belief, setting the stage for civilization's dizzying rise. We think farming was a step forward: food security, bigger populations, civilization. But what if planting seeds also planted the seeds of human misery, inequality, and endless work? Meet the Natufians, hunters and gatherers in the Levant 12,000 years ago. They collected wild grains casually, living varied and relatively relaxed lives. Then wheat began to change the game. Wild grains didn't fight back, but when humans started planting them deliberately, wheat co-evolved to become dependent on our cultivation. Instead of humans controlling wheat began controlling humans, driving the rise of sedentary villages and more labor than ever before. Think of wheat as a tiny manipulator, a plant that made an irresistible deal with humans. By evolving seeds that thrived only when planted, wheat enslaved human societies into farming cycles. Like an unbreakable contract, it traded easy food for permanent commitment, no more free roaming. This botanical puppet master flipped the roles. Humans became farmers for plants, not the other way around. Once farming took hold, village societies exploded, but so did inequality. Early farmers stored surplus crops, sparking the rise of chiefs, priests, and armies. Food created power, and power bred social classes. Suddenly, the idyllic farming village was a battleground of privilege and oppression, yet it laid the foundation for empires and today's complex world. From the dusty plains of Mesopotamia to the far corners of the world, empires sprawled relentlessly. But what invisible forces made empire building not just possible, but inevitable for Homo sapiens? Take the Akkadian Empire around 2300 BCE, stretching from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. It wasn't just armies, it was ideas, religions, laws, and messengers moving thousands of miles. Empires thrived because they combined brutal force with a shared vision of order and justice, making diverse peoples feel connected under one banner. This delicate balance kept vast areas from fracturing, yet kept tensions simmering under the surface. Money became the ultimate empire lubricant. Unlike barter or local trade, money abstracted value into universal tokens, silver coins, later paper bills, that everyone trusted. Picture money as a shared social hallucination. It's only worth what we collectively believe. This invisible belief allowed trade, armies, and roads to connect millions across continents, weaving a web that no simple allegiance could replace. But empires aren't just creators, they're destroyers. The spread of one dominant culture often meant wiping out languages, traditions, and entire ways of life. As Rome expanded, dozens of tribal gods and customs faded into silence. Empires demanded loyalty to the center, often at a devastating cultural cost, an ambivalent legacy we still wrestle with today. About 500 years ago, science flipped the script again, but this time the consequences were cosmic. Why did humans suddenly think they could understand and control the entire universe? In 1543, Nicolaus Copernicus boldly suggested Earth wasn't the universe's center, an admission of ignorance about everything assumed true. This moment crumbled medieval certainty and opened the door to relentless questioning. Recognizing our ignorance turned into a superpower, fueling inventions, discoveries, and an endless quest to rewrite what we know. It was a cognitive earthquake shaking humankind's foundations. Imagine harnessing fire or steam engines like taming dragons, suddenly boundless energy at your fingertips. The steam engine transformed travel, factories, and warfare, propelling civilization faster and further than ever. Science didn't just explain the world, it gave us control beyond imagination, turning nature into raw material for human ambition. As science fueled technology, it rebuilt empires, this time on rockets, factories, and electrical grids. Great powers no longer rested on armies alone, but on innovation and infrastructure. Science wove itself into the fabric of society, creating modernity. Yet, this power demands balance, as newfound capabilities bring new risks, something we're vividly reminded of today. If history is a train speeding forward, what glimpses do we have of where it's headed? Will sapiens survive their own creations, or morph into something else entirely? Today, gene editing and artificial intelligence push us beyond biology. Labs in places like Boston tinker with CRISPR to potentially eradicate diseases or redesign humans. AI systems already outthink us at chess, driving cars, creating art. The line between human and machine is blurring fast, raising epic questions. Will future sapiens still be sapiens? Will we even recognize ourselves? Despite technological leaps, happiness remains stubbornly elusive. The Sand people of the Kalahari, traditional hunter-gatherers, measure well-being differently than Silicon Valley billionaires. Ancient evolution wired us for survival, not bliss. Our pursuit of more wealth, more knowledge, often fails to fill the emotional gaps we feel. It's a humbling reminder that progress isn't always progress for the soul. In the end, Sapiens' legacy comes down to stories. From tribal myths to digital memos, the narratives we create shape what comes next. As empires and tech dissolve, it's these stories, shared, believed, and acted on, that might determine if we thrive, evolve, or extinguish ourselves. Our future hinges less on tech and more on what tales we choose to tell. Remember that African plain from the opening scene, where multiple human species roamed the Earth? Only sapiens survived thanks to stories, cooperation, and imagination. But our journey is far from over. You hold the power to shape the next chapter by choosing which stories you tell and believe. Tonight, try rethinking one truth you take for granted. See how it changes your view of the world. That's how history moves forward, one story at a time. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.